Learn something new today. We're going to work on 2-point perspective. What you're going to need for class today is a little more simple. You need one piece of paper. I have a piece of 9 by 12 drawing paper, but if you have just a piece of copy paper, that would be fine. Just a piece of paper, nice and clean. And then we need our worksheet that says 2-point perspective, drawing boxes from different locations. You need a ruler, of course. You need an angle, of course, or the corner of a piece of cardboard, and an eraser and your pencils. I will continue to work in 2B pencil, and I'm advising you guys to use a 2H. It's up to you. If this is darker, so it's going to smear, but it does keep that nice point on it, and I'll understand if you prefer to use this. That'd be fine. Okay, so here we go. A couple announcements to get started. I appreciate the slideshow gallery. I thought that was really fun to see your paintings and see what you chose and everything. So that was great. I think that was a fun homework assignment. And most of you participated. I want to remind you to just send one photo of our assignments today. At the end of the video, you'll just be sending a photo of these two things side by side, but just one photo. It takes me, because there's multiple steps on my end, it just takes me a while to grade when there's more than one and there's so many of you. So please, just one photo if at all possible. I had a few people get a little confused on the assignments. I wanted to say, so we're in these 2-week rotations where we have a full 2-day rotation, whereas before in class, sometimes you wouldn't go back to class for 2 days, sometimes you'd go back 1 day. But because of this unusual 2-week rotation, and one Monday is very different than the next Monday, you really have to pay attention to where we are and make sure you do the right assignment in the right order. So I have them listed as 5 assignments in 2 weeks, and then starting next week we'll finish this 2 weeks. I'm sorry, next week we start a new 2 weeks, but anyway, there's assignment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just been thinking, how do I label them? I can't think of a better way, so just really pay attention to where you are. Again, I wanted to thank you that we are right on curriculum. I haven't had to change what we are learning. I haven't had to make you use Play-Doh or anything else. We're doing the types of things you'd be doing right in class. It looks slightly different, but it's really not all that different. Good job, you guys. I think a lot of the stuff I've seen has been, most of the time, it's really great, so I'm very proud of you. Today's assignment, last assignment, I know with all the squares was probably frustrating for a lot of you. Today's assignment's more doable. Hopefully, if you like perspective so far, you'll like today's assignment, and I'm hoping the video is not too long. So let's get started. When we're working with 1-point perspective, a quick review, we have our one horizon line, always marked with an HL, and we have one vanishing point, always put in with an X, and it's called VP, typically labeled. And then we have a situation where what we're drawing is perpendicular to us, and depending on where it's located, we might see the top and the side, we might see the bottom and the side, we might just see the bottom, we might just see the top, and so on, depending on where it's located. And that's what the last assignment was, just getting you really used to drawing in perspective, using the vanishing point, and lots of practice. But basically what we were doing is we had an object like this, and then we took all 4 corners specifically to the vanishing point, and then we squared it off with vertical lines using the angle on the bottom of the piece of paper. So important that we take this step. Angle bottom of the piece of paper for a vertical line, angle side of the piece of paper for a horizontal line. So I put my pencil, if you know something, use that as your reference. I put my pencil right on that corner, angle on the side of the paper over here, and here I have my horizontal line. So that's how we've completed things to the vanishing point. So before we move on to 2-point, let me just remind you, in 1 point perspective, we have one vanishing point, only one for the whole drawing. It doesn't matter where anything is, it's always going to that 1 point. And sometimes we get unusual angles, and that's okay. When the whole drawing's done, it looks correct because you've drawn to this one vanishing point. So there's one vanishing point, there's one horizon line. Are there, bad word, parallel lines? No, there are not parallel lines. What we have, these lines here are mirroring what's happening in front. We don't call them true parallels because if we start thinking parallel, we're going to start messing up these lines here. They are not parallel. They have different lengths. They're not, you can't measure them. And they, the one thing they have in common is they all go to the vanishing point. So we have no parallel lines. We have horizontal lines, yes. We have vertical lines, yes. So if you think of it one way, there's actually only 3 kinds of lines in this drawing that you have. You have lines to the VP, that's one kind of line. You have vertical lines, that's another kind of line, and you have horizontal lines. That's your third kind of line. If you find yourself drawing any other kinds of lines, you're making a mistake. You're only doing those 3 things. Lines to the vanishing point, lines that are vertical, lines that are horizontal. Okay, and you know, 1 point's great to work with. We have like real life situations, like I said, Colorado Boulevard, you know, looking up the street, that type of a thing. And then the buildings on either side. As long as you're perpendicular to the front of the building, which you probably are if you're taking this photo, you know, that's all a 1 point perspective situation, and it really would happen. So it's not like it's baby perspective. So we have 1 point perspective. But what happens in a world where what we're drawing is not straight? What if it's angled a little bit? What if there's more on this side and less on this side? What if I'm not standing straight in front of my house, but what if I'm standing on the corner of my house? So this is why we need 2 points in our perspective. You'll notice one side of the box is now going off to a vanishing point over here. Here I can kind of see it, it's right there. And the other side of my house is now going to a vanishing point over here. This one's off the screen, is right about here. So you can actually see where these vanishing points are looking at this box. So now we need 2 vanishing points, and this is what a 2 point perspective is all about, is because what we're drawing has now been turned at an angle, and we need a different type of perspective. So the way I've been using it 2 ways, and switch to 2B so you can see a little easier. So the way 2 point perspective works, we have a horizon line. Okay, there's always only one horizon line. So I'm going to go ahead and mark down one horizon line. Okay, now something different's going to happen is we're going to have 2 vanishing points. So they're not always over here way on the corners of our paper, but for our benefit, it's a little easier to work with if they are. They could be wherever they need to be, but it just, once you set them in, the whole drawing has to use those 2 vanishing points. So we have 2 vanishing points, so something is very, very different. And as we start to draw it, we have this unusual relationship. In 1 point perspective, we're perpendicular to the front, and we can access the whole front of things, and we can draw things on here as we would normally draw them. This is a normal drawing situation. Everything else in the drawing is perspective, and it's going to the vanishing point and stuff, but not this. We go into 2 point perspective. Our only connection is this front line of the building, and we'll be talking more about that. So this is our access to the building as opposed to this whole front side. So we have this line, the front corner of our building. And what I do, I don't know why I came up with this, is I think it's too many X's, but on my worksheet I'm going to label that with an X, just so as we get into the drawing, you know that that's the front corner. So our building's now turned. One side of our building, where did I put my angle? Mrs. Rouse, did you drop my angle? One side of the building is going to one vanishing point, and the other side of the building is going to the other vanishing point. So just to sketch it, I'll use my angles in a minute. Well, I'll use it for here. So the bottom goes over to this vanishing point. This side of the building goes over. See, both of the vanishing points have to be on the horizon line. The horizon line is where everything gets smaller and disappears off to. So the left side of the building goes to the left side vanishing point. The right side of the building goes to the right side vanishing point. So do we have lines to the vanishing points? Yes, and we have 2 vanishing points. Do we have parallel lines? We never have parallel lines. What are you thinking? Okay, are we going to have some vertical lines? I think so, because we need to mirror this line at the front corner of the drawing. So I'm just going to decide where I want the sides of my building to be, using the angle on the bottom of the paper, of course. It's one side of my building. I'm just deciding right now, and not based on what I want to do. This one's slightly more of a rectangle than a square. And then I would erase off any extra pieces, but leaving a little tiny X at the corners because they will come in handy. So it's going to the 2 vanishing points, like I was saying with this box. It's below our horizon line, so we can see the top. So we can see the top of the box here. The next tricky thing is how do I find the top of the box? Don't even start thinking measure. Don't even start thinking, oh, it's parallel. Remember, no measure, no parallel. If you think it, you're about to make a mistake. So is it going to be like right in the middle? No, because that involves measuring. Anytime we go back in perspective, we can't. So how do I find this? Well, we know that these 2 lines are going to this vanishing point. So leading off, we know the back side here is going to be doing the same thing the front side is here. So the top line of this box will also be going over to that vanishing point, going across to the opposite vanishing point. There's no lines just going any which way. They're always going to vanishing points. And then the other one, this is going over here, this is going in over here, so the top of the box will also be going over here to the second vanishing point. And so that's how we find the top. So what I like to say is we typically just say you crisscross to the opposite vanishing points to find the top. And that's correct. And it's not, you know, it's not a particular location. It's exactly the crossing to the opposite vanishing points. You can't find it another way. So if this box is located somewhere else, let's say it's located up here above, I'm just going to sketch this one. Here we go down to this vanishing point. Here we go over to this vanishing point. Put the 2 sides in. Get rid of extra lines. How do I find, this time it's the bottom. This one's up above us. It's above the horizon line. So to find the bottom of it, I crisscross to the 2 opposite vanishing points again. Specifically, that's what it would look like in that location. And then if one is overlapping the horizon line, let's put it right here. Let's say there's a little building right here. And the top is above the horizon line and the bottom's below. So we go to this vanishing point, over to this vanishing point. We put our 2 lines in for the sides. And if you're standing with this where the top's above you and the bottom's below, you can't see on top or on bottom. You're just looking at it like this. So there is no crisscrossing needed. This is the full picture for that particular location. This is the most common location you'll have too, by the way. Usually you're standing in front of a building, you can't see on top of the roof, you can't see underneath it. So this is your common location. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on our worksheet together. And 2-point perspective is really fun because it just looks so cool and it's not really very hard to do at all. I do want to mention we lost something here. Do we have vertical lines? Yes, we do. Do we have horizontal lines? No, there's no lines that are horizontal anymore. That was only because we had a relationship in 1 point that we don't anymore in 2 point. So we have lost our horizontal lines. So we only have lines that are vertical and we only have lines that go to the 2 vanishing points. Well, what if a line happens to be there? Well, then it's still going to a vanishing point. So if you can remember in 2-point perspective, there's only 2 kinds of lines, vertical and to a vanishing point. If you're drawing a line somewhere else, oh, this line goes, stop what you're doing, you're about to make a mistake. Okay, worksheet. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to draw mine in red just to make sure you see the details I'm putting in. So the first one is your name. We're always going to put our name on these. Okay, we're going to do these in order, and we're going to finish off these buildings that have already been started. So number 1 is sitting here on top of the horizon line. Here it's labeled horizon line. We have an X here. This is our, we'll call this the right vanishing point. We have an X over here for the left vanishing point. And on the horizon line, so everything's disappearing towards this line, specifically to these 2 points on this line. Now, to do the first drawing, so this is our front corner of the building. You can see the right side going to the right vanishing point. It happens to end right on the horizon line. So it's as if you're laying down on your stomach looking at it. It's all at the level of your eyes is the level of the ground. So here the right side is actually complete. You can't see under it, you can't see on top of it. The left side, we just don't know where to put this vertical line, except that Mrs. Rouse has kind of left you a corner there. So just put this vertical line in, and number 1 is actually complete. It's just in a kind of an unusual situation. Okay, moving on to number 2. In number 2, it's overlapping the horizon line. Here's our horizon line, here's our 2 vanishing points. So it's overlapping it. Part of our building's on top, part of our building's below. So what we do, here's the middle. Remember, from the middle, you draw to the 2 opposite vanishing points. So from this middle line, you go to the bottom of it, draw specifically up to the vanishing point. So please don't don't be connecting dots here. I want you to draw towards the vanishing point. And then up above that, on this side, the right side of the building here, we're also drawing towards the vanishing point. And so that side of the building is correct. And here on the left side now needs to go to the left side vanishing point. Isn't 2-point fun already? No, it's fun. It's fun, even though I'm sometimes a little bit all over the place. I really like perspective. Notice there's no formulas, like I said. Okay, the top of the left side goes to the left side vanishing point. The bottom of the left side goes to the left side vanishing point. And then it's now complete because we can't see on the top or the bottom because it's overlapping the horizon line. It's as if you're standing looking at a building. This is the situation you're going to see most of the time. Okay, let's go to number 3. Number 3 is way below us. This is the front corner of the building. It's already been completed, so I'm just going to add that shadow kind of in here so you can kind of see a little bit more of a 3D look. It's way below us, you see way on top of it. Now we just need to see the top of this one. So you can see how these 2 sides go up to the right side vanishing point, these 2 sides go to the left side vanishing point. These 2 lines have different lengths. You can't measure. They're not parallel, they have different angles. They just go to the vanishing point. To find the top of number 3, if you remember, we can't measure, there's no parallel. What we're going to do right here is we just crisscross to the opposite vanishing points, because this corner is going to do the same thing that these 2 lines are doing, which is going to the right side vanishing point. And this line here is going to do the same thing these 2 lines are doing. They're both going to the left vanishing point. So all we have to do is make a line here to the left vanishing point. And they cross each other up on top of the building. So that one's now complete. Number 4 is right next to it. It's also below the horizon line. We're just going to have to do another little more drawing. I just want to mention in our drawings, things look pretty normal near the middle, but if we start getting really close to our vanishing points on the sides of the drawing, we start getting some more extreme angles. See how much more angled this is here? Because it's close to a vanishing point. So this is even closer. I just wanted you to see that. So here's number 4. Here's the front line of the building. You can see that. We can see this section of the building. Now we need to find the right side of it. So we take the top and the bottom here and we draw them towards the right vanishing point. Mrs. Rouse put a little place there to stop. It's about how big we want it to be. Top, right side vanishing point. Bottom to the right side vanishing point. See how much more angled that line is, because we're getting kind of close there to the vanishing point. To square this off, we need a vertical line. You only have two kinds of lines, right? To the vanishing point or vertical. No other lines around allowed. Okay, now I'm going to draw a vertical line. I put my pencil on the corner. I line up my angle here on the bottom of the paper. And no matter how wide your pencil is, this corrects the width of your pencil, that problem of the width of your pencil, if you draw your line with your angle touching it. So anyway, I do a very vertical line because I use the bottom of the paper with my angle. So there we have, now we have the right side of our building. It's got a very strong angle to it because it's so close to the vanishing point. Now we need to find the top of it again. If you remember, we just keep drawing to the vanishing points. It's not a vertical line, so they have to be lines to the vanishing points. So here from, I'll do the right side first. Put my pencil right here on the corner to the vanishing point. Put my pencil on this corner to the other vanishing point. So I crisscrossed to the two vanishing points. If it doesn't look like it's going there, I'm going to extend this so you can see that it is. You can see they're going to specifically to the vanishing points. So it looks okay because everything in the drawing is doing the same thing. You can't make two separate vanishing points for everything in your drawing. They need to be using the same situation as long as they're set up square to each other. Okay, here we have number 5. There's a lot more work to do. Number 5 is floating up in the air, and we only know where the front line is, where the top line is. So in class, by this time, you guys would like, okay, I got this, Mrs. Ross. And I probably have one of you come up front to the classroom and tell the rest of the class how to do this, because we're far enough in perspective now, the details are going to start coming to you faster and faster. Anyway, you're not here. Pretend I'm you, and you're showing the class how to do this now. So we're going to find the right side of this first. We have the front corner. So from the bottom of it, we go towards the right side vanishing point. From the top of it, of the front corner, we're going to go to the right side vanishing point. Over here on the left, this is the front corner of our box. Top of it to the left side vanishing point, and the bottom of it to the left side vanishing point. And I'm going to extend it so you can tell that indeed, I'll just extend a couple of them, that they're, just to remind you, they are going to the vanishing point. And now to square off, so the top and the bottom of the two sides going to the two opposite vanishing points. Now we're going to square it off with the vertical lines. You can see I made a mark there for you. So just put a vertical line in from the dot. So I'm going to put my pencil on it, put my angle on the edge of the paper, and draw straight up vertically. So please don't estimate. When our drawings get even more detailed, you're going to kill your drawings if you don't take this little step every time. You will save time by doing this because you did it correctly and you don't have to go back and fix things. So I'm putting my angle here on the edge of the paper, vertical. So there's two vertical lines here on the sides of the building. And now it's above us. So now, we're in this situation. Now we can see the bottom of our building. So let's draw to the two opposite vanishing points to finish this one off. So over here, the left side goes towards the right side vanishing point, and the right side goes over towards the left side vanishing point. Sometimes in class, people will have done this really well, and then all of a sudden starting to put in parallel lines or something else. Just got to use those vanishing points. So your drawing should look great. It should look nice and precise and, you know, a whole lot like my drawing. It's interesting on the camera. These are very red, but on the camera they look gray. That's kind of interesting. Why did you do that? Okay, so this worksheet's done. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna spend a little bit more time today. You get to have a shorter day in class. We're gonna set up a project that we're gonna finish tomorrow. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a break because you're probably all mad at me about yesterday's